Hey everybody, this is Javi, and you're listening to the Inner Child Collective, where you and your inner child heal for the better. Welcome. Thank you so much for listening. How are you? I hope everything is going well. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope y'all had an awesome weekend, that you're rested. It's a little bit late as far as the podcast going out, so I apologize. I have a lot going on personally, but I just wanted to do this episode to let you know that it's going to be up, it's going to be running, and it's going to be awesome. And so, speaking of awesome, I have a couple of announcements, at least one anyway. So my Patreon page is up and running. It's finally up and running. After all this time, I've been saying that I've been getting this Patreon, I'm about to get this stuff started, get this party started, and now it is finally here. So I have a lot of dope incentives for everyone to choose from. So you have everything from guided meditations, personalized or customized guided meditations, to a monthly hero's journey short story. So I'll put the link in the descriptions, so you can have all those incentives available to you to choose from. So please, take a look at it. Take a look at it um, and skim through it, or like look through everything when you get the chance. So yeah, that's all I have as far as announcements. That I've been very excited about that Patreon for a very long time. So with that being said, let's get on with the show. So today we're going to discuss the for this episode the power of our thoughts and how those thoughts play a role in our inner child energy work. So a few episodes back, I do talk about the power of the unconscious mind, and how it drives us, how it drives our behavior. But I don't think we ever talked about this in full detail, right? And before we get started with anything else, in regards to that subject, I want to talk about the difference between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Some people say, it's the subconscious mind. I say unconscious mind because you literally are unaware of what is happening until you start doing the work, right? So the unconscious mind, or not the unconscious mind, but the conscious mind stores information that you could pretty much recall right away. It also stores our logic and what we believe is the logical or obvious response to external stimuli. So, for example, you prefer the color black, right? Someone asks you why, you know, you like the color black, right? Why do you like it so much? Why are you wearing it, right? And the first response is because it's a beautiful color, or it goes with everything, or it's none of your business. You know what I mean? Like that's some stuff like that. You really don't think about the reasoning behind liking the color black. You don't think about the reason. It's not. You don't think about the reason because it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Or for instance, someone asks you about, what's your favorite? Why are you being this way, or why are you acting this way? Right. The first response that comes into your mind is, I don't understand what you're talking about, or it's because of this. Again, you don't think about the reasoning behind what you do or what you say or what you like or whatever. Okay. That's how the conscious mind works. It's like everything is stored in the forefront of your mind. Therefore, it's not that deep for you, right? Okay. The unconscious mind, however, is a little more complicated because it's where our unspoken feelings, thoughts, and desires live. It's called the store mind. People who study under the the Vietnamese monk, Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, or Thich Nhat Hanh, excuse me. Um, they say that it's a store mind, and that's for a really good reason. Like that's where we store a lot of our own our unspoken selves, the stuff that we don't want people to know, or those things that we trying to hide from ourselves. That's where that lives, right? And when I say it doesn't, it's not just stored there; it's living there. It's very much alive, and I'll show you that in a minute, or tell you why in a minute. Excuse me. Um, those very components drive our behavior and determines how each of us show up in this world, and how we navigate through entire environments and industrial complexes and systems. That's why we're going to talk about this in another episode. But intersectionality is extremely important in inner child energy work as well. That's another episode that we're going to talk about, but I digress, right? So, but anyway, our views regarding those industrial complexes and the people within them, that's where our unconscious mind um, plays a huge part as far as storing these or having or putting these in a part of your mind that's living there, right? And sometimes it's so tucked away, we're very unaware as to why we feel, think, and act a certain way. Okay? Our unconscious mind determines how we unknowingly think and feel about other people as well as ourselves. Okay? And sometimes it's a lot more insidious than that. And I geek out over this stuff, especially when it comes to the the unconscious mind and the archetypes and how each archetype shows up, because of our unconscious thoughts and everything. I geek out over stuff like that, right? Because the more you understand the unconscious mind, the more you realize how powerful and how insidious it is. Right? Because we don't use like every part of our brain. We only, according to a lot of studies, we only use like 10% of our brain, right? But then, does that really count? You know, the parts of our brain that are or that we're not aware of. The brain in general is very much a complex instrument, because without it, we can't be creative, but we can't be logical either. And when I think about the conscious and unconscious mind, I think of the unconscious mind as being the more creative side, because that's where a lot of our creative, regardless of how negative or positive it is, that's where a lot of our creativity is, a lot of our stories are. But as far as the conscious mind, that's where our logic is. That's what the analytical, mathematical part of our mind. And sometimes I feel like the unconscious mind is basically writing stories, continuously writing stories, right? And sometimes those stories are very well hidden from us, right? And when things happen, we don't know why we are responding a certain way. We don't, especially if it comes to trauma, and especially when it comes to, you know, any sort of trauma response. You know, sometimes our bodies um, respond to something, or to stimuli or some sort of external stimuli or an experience, and we don't know what's going on or what's happening, right? So it's only when we do our spiritual work and do meditative work, or we like see a therapist or do any see a therapist that is trauma informed. That's when we start to realize what is being hidden in our unconscious mind, excuse me. Okay, so back to what I was saying, back to center. Most of us are not aware that the memories that are living in our unconscious mind, we're not aware of how um, we're not aware of how powerful they are, and how those memories drive our behaviors and reactions, right? We're not aware of that. Our unconscious mind is where our traumatic thoughts and messages live and thrive. Okay, that's where the mental depictions of our childhood trauma experiences and their impact on us survive. Again, the unconscious mind is like a whole book. It's like a that's where our stories, our unspoken stories, you know, live. And to be honest with you, that's where our inner child and our other selves live. That's why the unconscious mind and how it works has everything to do with our inner child work. The unconscious mind is where our inner selves live. All those versions, those old versions of ourselves, that's where they live. Because even though we're not that person anymore physically or chronologically, those memories are still there. And they are stuck in those memories. They live in those memories still. That's where the memories and thoughts are living, and they energetically become a part of who we are on an unconscious level. They drive our behaviors and they live vicariously through us, as, regardless of whether they're healed or not. It's just that when it comes to um us, our healing work, when we are not healed and our inner child and our inner selves, the other versions of our inner selves feel very much ignored, they're going to show up in our behavior. They're going to show up in our thoughts. They're going to show up in our emotions. They're going to show up in our actions, which means that they are acting on and recreating scenarios based on the negative messages that they've always had for about themselves, and we haven't healed from that. They haven't healed from that. You have not. You have not allowed them to be to be in a position to heal from it, from whatever trauma they are a part of, or they were a part in, or experienced. In other words, when we are walking around unhealed on the unconscious level, our inner wounded selves start to run our lives. They're running us, right? They're running us. They're running at like our lives because they want to be seen and heard. And if they're not being seen and heard, they're going to show up somehow. I talk about this in the second episode when I talk about like the inner child. Okay, because those aspects of the self, um, they have imprints. They have imprints of their own that haven't been removed or discovered yet. This is extremely important for trans people as well, because even though we may have transitioned, whether it be socially, medically, or surgically, there's still that old version of yourself that have, especially if they've gone through trauma, that have their own imprints and that have not been removed or discovered yet. And until you do the work necessary, like do the work necessary to heal from that trauma, at least I found for myself that I'm not able to be my full self because energetically that person is still there. But that's a whole nother episode altogether. I'm definitely going to talk about that. I dedicated a whole episode to like trans and gender nonconforming people. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, I digress. Okay, let me bring it back. Right, this episode we're talking about how our inner child and our other selves live vicariously through us on an unconscious level, and how on the unconscious level they are still hurting. They have their own unconscious mind, to be honest with you. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example of what I was just talking about. Right, um, you're in a relationship. You're in a relationship with someone who is constantly gaslighting you or putting you down, or you're in a relationship with someone who is treating you the best, right? But you feel as if you're sabotaging that relationship in some way, shape, or form, right? So you gather enough strength. If you're in an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, you gather enough strength to leave the relationship, and you're like, "No, fuck this, I'm done." Or you're one of those people who are constantly bouncing from one relationship to the next because that person leaves you after you're dealing with your toxic behavior in some way, shape, or form, and they're like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." Right? So you're taking a break from dating for a while. You're loving yourself, treating yourself, to a person's night out or whatnot. Like you're living your best life. Like this is definitely like a YOLO type of situation where you are living your best life. You're taking care of yourself. You're very aware, especially if you're coming from an abusive situation. You're very aware that you are to take care of yourself. So you do some self love things, or things that promote self love and self care and all that. And you're good for a while until you meet somebody, right? After a while, you meet someone. Everything's good at first. Everything's good and gravy at first, right? But after a while, you realize that sooner or later you're in the same position that you were in before. You're in the same position that you were in before. So you're like, why am I going through this? On the conscious level, you know something isn't right about how you're being treated or how you constantly sabotage relationships, right? You're like, I don't understand why this keeps happening. I don't understand why I keep putting myself in these positions of either abusing myself or allowing myself to be abused. I don't understand what's going on, right? Then you meet a spiritual advisor, or you see something on YouTube um, about energy and relationships, or and how energy plays a huge role in how we meet people. All right, they start doing like instructing you to do some meditative work. You keep doing this meditative work around self-love, relationships, intimacy, and then once you get knee deep into the meditative work or inner child energy work, you realize that the very words your partner said were similar to what you heard as a child. Or you realize that the reason why you sabotage relationships is because you grew up in a household that told where you were constantly being told that you are unworthy and you are nothing. Either way, you're reenacting and recreating scenarios based on what you have experienced as a child. Those negative messages stored themselves in your unconscious mind. They lived there and they remained active through your behavior and reactions. And now they're causing you more trauma as an adult. You're literally recreating and reenacting the abuse you experienced as a child. Okay? But you didn't know that because it was so knee deep and like it was literally buried in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind, your inner self, your inner child went through those experiences and now they're running you. Okay? They're running you. This is why it's so important to be aware of the way we think about ourselves, the way our mind works, the way our mind works on the unconscious level. Because when we think as if, because our thoughts are things, our thoughts are energy. So when we think as if, we feel as if, because your thoughts are connected to your emotions, you're reacting to what you're thinking. And then when you feel as if, you act as if. You have this negative thought, your emotions, you react to it. You react to it on an emotional level, and now you're acting on what you thought. You're acting on what you believe is happening externally, when in actuality, it was already within you. It's just you were not aware of it. You were not aware of it. The way when you think as if, you feel as if, and when you feel as if, we act as if. This is one of the reasons why a lot of us are walking around, feeling as if we are not worthy of love, we are not worthy of greatness. Because we got that message when we were children. Now that message is now stuck or like stored in our mind. Now we feel that every time someone says something to us, every time that something happens from the outside, it just that's similar to what was said or what was done to us. By that abusive parent or that abusive individual that we dealt with when we were a child, we're now in our feelings. And depending on on the severity on the trauma, your emotion, like there's no emotion regulation. It's as if your brain is like, our brains are, very much our brain chemistry is very much affected by trauma. So it would definitely I don't know what word to use, but basically it definitely is impacted by trauma to the point where our brain chemistry changes, which is why everything is so intensifying, whether it be fight, flight, freeze responses. Like either you are in fight mode or you freeze. Our brains don't know the difference because of things you're being attacked. So when you think as if, you feel as if. And when you feel as if, you're going to act on it. In the spiritual community, often talks about how our thoughts are energy, and that's very true. That energy, in regards to how we are, who we are individually, has a potential to harm us emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, sexually, and even financially, if we don't do the inner child energy work necessary to understand our unconscious mind and the thoughts that are stored there. Not stored, but living. Right? So, the tool and tip I have for everyone who's listening is a meditation that will help us put to rest any negative thought that pops up, because when you're dealing with trauma and doing trauma and any sort of trauma work or any sort of shadow work, your negative thoughts are going to pop up. You're going to be reenacting or reliving things that were very painful. Okay, so your thoughts are your thoughts are going to be a very powerful component in regards to how you react to what's coming up. So first things first, and I do this all the time. Okay, this meditation is also like, first is when you just have to find a quiet place to meditate for at least 30 minutes without interruption. And when you find that quiet place, make sure you're comfortable. And if you're not the type who likes silence, you can also listen to meditative music on YouTube. I highly recommend the Meditative Mind channel. Okay, or my mentor Nikila Asha. She also has meditative videos. You can check out her page as well. I'll put that in the descriptions. Okay, so let's do this one more time. So find a quiet place to meditate for at least 30 minutes without interruption. When you find that quiet place, make yourself comfortable. If you need to listen to music, go ahead and do that. Next, begin taking a deep, calming breath. Just take deep, calming breaths. Inhale through your nose. Then on the count of 3, exhale through your mouth. Focus on your breath and take your time. Place one hand over your heart and the other above your navel, as this meditation is to focus on your heart and power center. Next, feel whatever emotion is associated with the negative thought or thoughts that float through your mind. Be mindful of your words, the images, and the people that appear. While watching the scene play out, ask yourself these questions. What are the negative thoughts? What negative message are you telling yourself? Who or what left the imprint? And how? What did they say or do to have you feel and think this way about yourself? And why do you see it as the truth? I'll ask those questions one more time. What are the negative thoughts? What negative message are you telling yourself? Who or what left the imprint? And how? What did they say or do to have you feel and think those negative ways about yourself? And why do you see it as the truth? Now that you're connected to the messages and you know where they've come from, you now have the power to combat those thoughts, the people and places that place the imprints on you. Say to yourself and your inner selves the following: I am beautiful. I am wise. I am kind. I am gentle. I am worthy. I am intelligent. I am a child of the divine. I am the magician and the high priestess. None of these negative messages and thoughts come from me, and I will not accept them. You can also create your own affirmations, but those are the ones I usually use. Feel the energy circulate from your heart to your power center. Thank the universe, thank your ancestors, thank the highest and the best of your spirit team for remaining with you as you focus on your breath. And when you are ready, you open your eyes in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Do this meditation every day for 21 days. If you want to, you can let me know if you notice any difference in your thinking. I feel like this is very important because when you're doing this work, you're going to basically be time traveling. It is okay for you to feel all your emotions in a safe place, but also come back to center where you know when you have the power. Tell your inner selves that they have the power to come with you, that they don't have to necessarily believe any of what they were told in the past. Okay? But your unconscious mind is extremely important, is extremely powerful. And it's time for us to replace all that negativity, all those messages that have been living there. It's time to evict them. It's time to basically show them out because they have no place in your world anymore. So that's all I have for this portion of the podcast. If you resonate with what was said, please say so in the review section on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also subscribe to the Inner Child Collective on Apple Podcasts or wherever you would like to listen to it. So on that note, let's get ready to do today's Inner Child Energy message. We'll be right back. So, hey everybody. So, this is the second part of the Inner Child Collective podcast. This is when I do the Inner Child Energy reading. So this is a general reading, and I already put the intention out there that the message will be for those who resonate with it. I'll be shuffling cards too, even though for right now I have my cards pulled out, but I'll definitely be shuffling cards later on. So, just to give you a heads up, that's where the noise is coming from. And I'm already tapped in. I'm already ready to go. So we have a really powerful message in regards to connection and one's purpose, serving one's purpose, right? So speaking of unconscious mind, we receive the hedonist, right? So the hedonist, I'll read the light attribute and the shadow attribute. So the light attribute says inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. Shadow attributes pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. What I got from this card right away, okay, is the fact that, for one, Spirit said to start with the shadow attribute first, okay? We have the tendency to overindulge in certain things, especially for this week, okay? Because this reading is for this week, February 10th, the week of February 10th, 2020. And there's a lot going on in people's lives. There's a lot going on in people's lives. There's a lot of major changes happening. There's a lot of major shifts happening within people where you're feeling all of your emotions. You're feeling all of your unconscious thoughts coming through. You're feeling all of the pressures and the energy from the outside world. And this is especially true for empaths and spiritual people who are going through some major changes. Okay, a lot of us are moving. A lot of us are quitting jobs. A lot of us are facing all kinds of housing issues. I know that I'm going through it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people going through a lot of major changes, good, bad, or indifferent, right? Um, what's happening is that we're becoming overwhelmed. Sometimes the information that we're receiving, the negative thoughts that we're combating, we're having this this overload, right? We're experiencing this overload. As a result of us experiencing this overload, we are now overindulging in certain things, in certain vices rather. Um, a little bit, we're overindulging a little bit too much in order to escape, the current situation, okay, or to take a break from it. Some people are smoking too much. Some people are drinking too much, having shopping and having sex too much, eating too much, playing video games, whatever that looks like to you. We're now using that as a means of escaping the energy of the current situation. A lot of us don't want to think about what's happening, okay? um so we check out. And spirit is basically saying, like, look, if it's going to be to the detriment of your health, if it's going to be to the detriment of you, if it's going to be to the detriment of your worth and your self esteem, or cause problems with you in the long or for you in the long run, it's best to either step away from it or to take a break from it. Basically, watch your intentions, okay, when it comes to these vices that you are using, or whatever you are using as a means of escapism. Be honest about where you are with it, okay. At the same time, there's a lot of us that are going through when it comes to major changes. A lot of us are going through a lot of us are feeling the positives around it too. A lot of us are being blessed. A lot of us have been manifesting and using our magic, and using a lot of our alchemy to change our life. It's not like you're escaping to the point of not doing anything about it. What I'm getting is that you have been doing the work, you have been doing the magic, you have been taking responsibility and stepping up, and facing your fears and facing a lot of your past. I'm getting that a lot of folks are working on their past. They're working on um, the negative thoughts. They're working on navigating that. It's not like you are doing absolutely nothing. A lot of you are taking your power back. A lot of you are allowing yourself to step into your power. And that is awesome. You know what I mean? Which is why you're getting, like, this week, there's going to be a lot of people getting blessings, and a lot of what you've been working towards is going to be coming into fruition. And however, it's in order for you to get to that point, you had to do a lot of uncovering, and some of that uncovering revealed a lot of your childhood traumas, a lot of childhood issues, a lot of things that you have not thought about on a conscious level. So your unconscious is being, like, shifted, and a lot of those thoughts are coming to the forefront, and y'all walking around angry and mad, and like, or sad, or and it's overwhelming because some of y'all are more powerful than you believe, and a lot of that energy is hitting you at once. So that's why there's this overwhelm, this feeling of overwhelm, right? But you're also very grateful for the changes that are coming. You're also grateful for the blessings you have already received. You're already showing gratitude towards this life that you're building. Um, and so, Spirit is basically, as I heard today, working behind the scenes and making sure that you're all right. A lot of you are just doing the work necessary, so please keep up the good work, okay? But just be careful with whatever advice you use, um, and continue to work on yourself, okay? So, as far as the inner child and the collective's inner child in regards to the archetype, what I got here I found really interesting. So a lot of what your inner child is basically saying is that a lot of you are still dealing with a lot of shifting around trust issues. A lot of you are not trusting people for whatever reason, and this is why you got the Queen of Cups upside down. The Queen of Cups is actually a very nice, a very sweet individual. Very is very not very afraid to give love or to receive it. What I'm getting is that a lot of you really do feel like you don't deserve accolades. A lot of you are still feeling as if you're unworthy and of blessings, and also I'm getting that a lot of you feel like you are not to that people are not to be trusted. A lot of you don't feel as if people are not to be trusted. A lot of people, I'm just getting a lot of heartache, and a lot of people are hurting me. Okay, a lot of people. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting people are walking around hurt. They're walking around with bent and broken hearts. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm getting from the Queen of Cups in regards to how a lot of people or how they're feeling about themselves, and why there's a lot of hedonistic behaviors going on in regards to how you're feeling about yourself and stepping into your power, right? And the reason why this is happening is because according to the Five of Cups upside down, what's happening is that you are not letting things go. You're letting things fester. You're holding grudges. You're not letting things um, fall by the wayside. You're not allowing yourself to love and be loved, because there's no room for it. There's no room for it because you're holding on to whatever happened to you in the past. You're holding on to this notion that people cannot be trusted. You're holding on to this notion that people are out to get you. You're holding on to this notion that whenever it's not worth it to get close to someone, because sooner or later someone's going to mess that up. I keep getting that you keep messing it up. You feel that you keep messing up friendships and relationships, that you are somehow at fault because of this, right? So you are to like not rid yourself, but basically overcome those false ideas on a conscious level that somehow you don't deserve friendship or people cannot be trusted. I'm just getting like this is one of the reasons why you're like very reserved. Okay. You also have the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is telling me that there's a lot of anger around your past as well. I'm getting like this still like there's this feeling of keep getting like there's this feeling of injustice. There's this feeling of injustice, and you feel that um, the folks who, according to the Ace of Swords, the folks that hurt you in the past, you feel like they got away with it. And because you feel like they got away with it, that's one of the reasons why you hold on to these grudges. Because someone has to hold on to it. Someone has to remember. Someone has to um, pay for what happened. But what's happening is that no one's paying for anything other than you. And what's happening is that you're burning your spirit, you're burning your soul, you're burning your passion, and you're wasting a lot of energy being upset and very angry about something that happened in the past. A lot of the folks who have wronged you, like, they have gone on with their lives. They've gone on with their lives. They don't even remember, most of the time, they may not remember who you are. They may not remember the incident at hand. So you are carrying this stuff around for no reason. You are literally carrying this stuff in your spirit, not just your heart, but your entire body. Okay, is all that stuff that happened to you is wrapped in your DNA, and you're sitting here mad as fuck, and there's nothing that there's nothing that will vindicate that. There's nothing that will vindicate what happened to you while you're holding on to things. I'm definitely getting that. A lot of people don't even know what happened. You're keeping things to yourself anyhow, and you're mad in silence. Okay. You also feel like you think that people won't listen to you, which is one of the reasons why you hold on to that stuff. As a result of you holding on to those grudges and holding on to the anger, the Three of Pentacles upside down is telling me that you are blocking your blessings. You're blocking your blessings, and you're blocking any opportunity for people to know you and to care about you and to cherish you, because you're holding on to all this stuff. Okay? You cannot love. What I'm getting is that love and hate cannot live in the same house. You can only have love and compassion. Reconciliation, you don't have to reconcile with anyone. That's not required, but love and compassion are to live in the same house in order for you to thrive. In order for you to, be the person you are, to stand in your own purpose and to see your purpose. You are to let go and to trust in people. You are to let go and trust people who have not done anything to you, because not everyone is your enemy and not everyone is trying to do stuff to you. And until you let go of that, until you let go of what's going on and internally, to release that energy of disappointment and distrust, and begrudgment that's within you, until you let go of that, until you work towards that. And some of you, a lot of you are, not just some, but many of you are, which is why you got the heat in this card. A lot of that stuff is coming up for you. So now you're like, I need to reset. I'm overwhelmed, right? But what I'm getting from this is that until the Three of Pentacles is basically saying that you can't stand in your purpose entirely until you let go of what happened. Okay. Yeah, like a lot of you are supposed to be teachers. A lot of you are teachers. A lot of you are healers. A lot of you are, um, meant to be in front of an audience. A lot of you are meant to be living full lives, a life of abundance and a life of peace. But you're hindering that by not, if you are not letting go of, which is why you are to continuously work towards healing. Okay. And a lot of you are doing that. Now, as far as how you were as a child, because I want to know like where this happened and how this happened. Okay. And what I'm getting is the Six of Swords. Okay. The Six of Swords tells me that you are the type of child, or you were the type of young person that really didn't care about what people thought. Okay. What I'm getting is that like you didn't search for answers. You already had the answers. You knew who you were, and you knew you were very comfortable in your own skin at one point. Of course, this happens when you were young. You're around 5 or 6, and I'm also getting 7. You were 5 to 6 years old, and you were just living your life, living it naively, being creative, being imaginative. You were always you were just connected to nature as well. So what I'm getting is that you were very much a person who um, who was just completely and utterly outside all the time. You were outside all the time, very much connected to nature, very much connected to uh, the outdoors. You didn't like being out indoors very much. Okay, especially during the summertime or during the spring period. I'm also getting to that you didn't mind winter at one point, but you were definitely someone who was never, you were comfortable in your own skin. I'm not getting any sort of like physical abuse that was going on at home, but I'm definitely getting that there was some absenteeism, like emotional absenteeism, where someone wasn't showing you a lot of emotions, or a lot of um, I'm definitely getting this from like the father, or the male-bodied individual in the family. I just felt like they were very distant towards you. They were very distant. They had their own stuff going on. They loved you. Um, they weren't abusive towards you in regards to hitting you or anything like that. But I'm definitely getting that they were in their own world the majority of the time. They were very practical. They were very practical. Very practical. Okay. I'm also getting to that you have the Five of Wands card because people did not understand you as a child, and you were considered weird as a child. You were picked on a lot. You were picked on at school, and you were picked on in your neighborhood. You were definitely bullied, is what I'm getting from this. Like, you were very bullied. You felt like you were being very much ganged up on, and you did not understand why they were the way they were. Okay, you didn't understand why they were the way they were. I often got too that you felt like that you did something wrong. You did something wrong, and that it really wasn't the case. I'm also getting to. I'm getting like um this image of you being in the corner and you're crouching as children were standing around you. So that tells me right there that you were picked on by multiple people. You were ganged up on multiple people. It wasn't just one person picking on you. It felt like nearly like a group of children. And you felt like the entire school had a problem with you because you were considered weird and they did not understand you. They did not understand where you were coming from. Okay, so that's where um, a lot of that came from in regards to you, like in at least in your, in one of the obstacles you were facing. You definitely felt as if you could not trust anybody because you felt like people were going to pick on you if you were to let them in. Okay, you have the star card here, and that tells me right here that you are very much connected to spirit. You're very much connected to spirit. You're very much connected to your spirit world, and this is probably one of the reasons why you were picked on. I'm getting you. You could see spirit. You could see spirits. You could see the spirit of those who have passed on. People thought you were lying, or people thought you were weird simply because they thought you were quote unquote crazy because you saw these individuals in the 3D, um, as if they were in the 3D, and they're like, "Who are you talking to?" And you would point them out, and there would be no one there because they could not see. So there are many times where you were like very much connected to the spirit realm, and were able to see and possibly even talk to spirits. And what ended up happening was that you were picked on because of that. And you often felt like you were this child on a lonely island because there was nobody like you in your neighborhood, or you felt like you could not talk about. After a while, you felt like you couldn't talk about what you were experiencing. Okay, so that's what I got from there. And a lot of you didn't know who to talk to anyway because according to the Four of Pentacles, um, there was a lot of family, there was a lot of issues around money, and so that tells me right there, like, you came from a family of modest means. You came from a family who was always saving money or was struggling financially. I'm getting like at least saving money. They just didn't spend money on anything. Okay, you only got money for what you quote unquote needed, or what was necessary. um and so that kind of like messed you up. And in fact, this is one of the reasons why you work so hard. A lot of you are also addicted to work because of you feeling as if you didn't have enough for yourself, and whenever you wanted to get something, or you requested something, you definitely got slapped with the question, is it necessary? Okay, or you were placed in a position of getting that money yourself, to get, or to yeah, to get what you were desiring. This is definitely one of the reasons. Definitely one of the reasons why a lot of you are addicted to work. There were like you are addicted to like a lot of nice things, or at least addicted to having money put away so you can get what you are looking for. Okay, yeah, you did not like it. You could not stand it, and this is like towards 11 or 12 years old, where you were like asking for stuff, and you were like, I don't want to say a little bit younger than that, maybe like 8 years old. Okay, maybe like 8 years old. So you were basically like you were like the typical child. Um, and when I say typical, as far as your practical experiences, but you could definitely see spirit. You could definitely see spirits. Okay. Now, as far as the obstacles that you struggled with, growing up. what I got from here, at least what your inner child is telling me, is that you became a hermit. Okay, you became a hermit. You got the hermit card. Okay, so that tells me, you know, that you are a person who, look, again, you felt like you had to keep to yourself. Okay, most of the time, this is about inner reflection or introspection, or you pulling away a bit or taking a break. Okay, from society so you can learn more about yourself or recharge. Is actually also a card I call the introvert card. A lot of y'all were introverted. A lot of you were introverted. A lot of you um, were deep thinkers in your teenage years. Even though you were very much a teenager, you were very much a person who was very interested in certain things. Okay, you were interested in knowing more about this world than what you were given. You were more interested in what the ins and outs of people, their personality, how they thought. You were about the deep. You were about deep conversations, and I'm getting this like you were like this in your teens, especially your late teens, early 20s, 18, 19 years old. Um, to like your 20s. I'm getting that like even when you were a child, you were considered wise beyond your years. I'm getting that one of the reasons why you stayed away from people is because one, you felt like you couldn't have a conversation with them, and two, you felt like your peers did not like you. Okay, you were picked on. You didn't trust a lot of people. I'm also getting that a lot of the friends that you did have, they were older than you. Okay, they were older than you. Would not surprise me at all if you were friends with professors or those that you can have an actual conversation with, especially about spirituality and religion. I'm getting a lot of you were interested in that, as far as the history of it, um, the spiritual aspects of it, possibly some of the more biblical figures such as Moses or Jesus or Abraham, Mary Magdalene, all those folks, all who are now ascended masters. You were interested in that just simply because, for one, you did in fact have a conversation with them. You were connected with those powers, maybe not as much as a teen, but you were definitely interested in the history of religion and spirituality and where all that came from and how you connected with it. And so you loved having those conversations with older people. I'm getting your grandfather. You had a grandfather or a grandparent, definitely someone who was able to have that, someone close to you that you can actually have these conversations with. Okay, you have the Two of Swords here, and this actually talks about, ooh, I'm getting decision making. Okay, you were the obstacles that you faced is that you felt like you had to make a decision over who you were going to be and what that was going to look like, what your purpose is, what were you going to do. Okay, this is I'm getting this is in your 20s. You didn't know, like, because you felt like you did not have you felt like you were not the typical teen, or you aren't the typical 20 something year old, and you felt like you were very much you were still introverted. You were still um there's like this indecision, but there was also, I'm just getting like a calmness as well. So that tells me right there that you you're a very quiet person. You're a very quiet person, very reflective. You didn't say very much. Okay, you did not say very much at all. Okay, you were seen as a quiet one. You were seen as someone who was always in their mind. Okay, there were things that happened to you that you don't talk about. There were some things that happened to you that you do not talk about, and it like it's not just about bullying. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Spirit? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, what I'm getting is that and you're like, so was when did this happen, Spirit? Because I'm wondering too, like, what this is way beyond the bullying. I'm getting you were either raped or sexually assaulted in your early 20s. It was someone you loved and trusted who did this. I'm getting another individual, another man, or a male-bodied individual, um, and they actually you trusted them. Um, they used your interests to get close to you. I was wondering where the so that's where the heartache is coming from. That's where the heartache is coming from. That's where the anger is coming from. This person, not only you trusted this person, you trusted this person. They used your interests, or they had the same interests as you did. And when you trusted them, they proceeded to sexually assault you or to rape you, and that devastated you to the point where um, that's why, and that's one of the reasons why, like, you felt like that's where the anger is coming from. Okay, that's why you're so. Yeah, this person is either well known in their community. People don't. You feel like people don't believe you or what happened because of who this person is. So you really are silent. You really are silent around this. Whoever is out there, whoever this happened to you, it's not your fault. I want you to know that it's not your fault. But it definitely explains the anger and the heartache and why you feel like you can't trust anybody, especially a male bodied individual. So that explains it. But yeah, like the two of swords here is about indecision as to where what your purpose is or where you're going. Because you're not really interested in being around other people, being around other 20-year-old people who are not like you. Yeah, I'm just getting like this person, whoever they were, they also they took advantage of your confusion. They took advantage of your confusion. Yeah, they're saying like, oh wow, like this person, like whoever this person was, they were a complete asshole. They said that no one was going to believe you. That no one was going to believe you. Yeah, there was like a dark period where there was a dark period where you really didn't. You fell into a deep depression and didn't talk to anybody. Yeah, I'm just getting like because you have the Eight of Wands here. Um, because there's a state of confusion as to where you're going, what your purpose is. You're stagnant. The Eight of Wands is saying that you were very stagnant and you're not moving. You weren't moving. This happened in your, at least in your early 20s, rather. This is like the, oh wow. I want to talk a little bit about this obstacle. I can't let that go. If the episode runs long, it runs long. But I can't let that go. Could you tell me a little bit about the obstacle in regards to. Okay. Yeah, so as a result of a lot of things, like, yeah, like you became, believe it or not, like, yeah, you became really reserved because you have the Queen of Wands. That's why you have the Queen of Cups here. Like, they complement one another. As far as I'm concerned, like, you're a very nice person, but you actually learn from your experiences. You actually learn from those experiences, and you're very reserved. You're like this. I'm just getting like, even though like the Queen of Wands, um, is very much a powerful individual. I'm just getting like you are not seeing your own power yet. Um, you're very reserved. Um, I'm also getting to, yeah, you're not. You don't want to be bothered by people. You don't want to be bothered by people. Um, I'm getting like, yeah. I'm also getting to, this person represents like the person that hurt you as much. And I don't know why this is, but the Queen of Wands usually isn't. This is very much a person who is very reserved, um, very strong. Okay, thank you. No, okay. This person. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. Who is this? This is you, but you're very sweet, and you're very kind, and you're very motherly, but you're also very reserved. At this point, just simply because like that's where, even though like there's a lot of confusion around you, like it's as if like you can hold yourself together. Okay, like you can hold yourself together, and one of the obstacles is that you're facing is being authentic, being your authentic self, being quiet and reserved, but at the same time, like you wanting to be out there, right? That's what I'm getting. Sorry for the confusion. So what you received here is the Empress. The Empress is basically about standing in your own power and not allowing your obstacles to get in the way. Because the Empress is about business. The Empress is about, you know, um, taking ownership of your sexual agency, taking ownership of your intimacy with other people, and not allowing um, the whatever happened um, to change you, to change you. Okay, to change you or to hinder your creativity in any way, shape, or form. In other words, do not allow this someone else's behavior to change who you are, or to, that's what it is, like, um to change who you are sexually, or to change your sexual expression. Okay, or to make it seem like you were wrong in any way, shape, or form um for for being who you are in regards to your sexual expression, if that makes sense. Because I'm getting that you feel like you are to become somebody else or not be sexual because of this person. But the thing is, though, you're being told by spirit to not allow this person to take your sexual agency. Okay, so that's the obstacles you are facing. Because like the Queen of Wands and the Empress, I'm now getting, this is a lot of you as an adult. I'm getting like 30s, 40s. Um, a lot of you are doing a lot of work necessary to change that. Okay, but a lot of you, and but in the in but by you like doing the work to to change that and step into your power, your sexual power, um, and you possibly using your story to help other people. Um, I'm just getting that you are to do so, and like because to continuously doing the work despite the fact that a lot of this stuff is like kind of triggering you. Okay, so that's where that's coming from. All right. So what can your higher spirit, what can um the collective do? What can the collective do to overcome any negative behavior or thought that hinders them? What can the collective do to overcome any behavior or thought that hinders them? Ooh, I have a whole bunch of cards coming out. They're like spill out. Is this it, Spirit? Let's see. Any card that spills out that tells you right there, that's what we're going to be using. Oh, wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So, what we got here as far as overcoming any obstacle is the Judgment card. Upside down. What I'm getting is that a lot of you are judging yourself harshly. Do not judge yourself harshly for being who you were, okay? You are caught up. Y'all are caught up. A lot of people are caught up in a lot of self-judgment or feeling as if they've done something wrong or they've done something to deserve what happened. And so you're being told by spirit to basically be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself and be kind to the person you once were, because there was nothing wrong with them. There was nothing wrong with the way you were, the way you are. There's nothing wrong with being yourself. There's nothing wrong with your sexual agency. There's nothing wrong with your creativity. There's nothing wrong with um, your stepping into your power. There's nothing wrong with you. And what happened to you in the past, that person, it was because they did what they did because um, they did what they did for their own selfishness. You had no say so. Like there was really nothing you could have done to change that. Okay, so one way to overcome your behavior or your thoughts on an unconscious level is to understand that you are to love yourself unconditionally. Okay, love yourself unconditionally. Okay, you also have the Ten of Wands upside down. Allow yourself to receive help and to let go of what's happened. To let go. Okay, you are to take your. I'm getting get like to get your head out of the sand and not ignore um not ignore or attempt to run away from what happened. Those emotions are going to come up regardless of your vice or whether you use it or not. Okay, and when you're using things for escapism, you're basically um, delaying the inevitable. Okay, so this is what this is saying. Like, this is a time for you to not cover your face or to put your head in the sand, and basically allow yourself to feel all of your feelings. To feel all of your feelings. I'm to be honest with you. Like, again, be honest about where you are in regards to your vices, but please be honest, be honest about your feelings, okay? Because they're going to come up regardless of what you do, okay? You also have the Eight of Swords. Whatever conflict you have going on, um, know that it's not forever, and know that you can get out of it, okay? Yeah, I'm just getting like you can walk away from the situation. You are like, please be aware you have a lot more power than you're giving yourself credit for. And the Eight of Swords upside down is basically saying that it's do not run away from what's going on, and please like realize that you are not trapped. You're not trapped. One way to overcome is to realize that you're not trapped. And you're only putting yourself in that situation. And you're not doing this by yourself. You do have help. You do have your spirit guides with you. Um, and then you have the King of Wands. This is basically a card. It's about standing in your own power, and when it comes to your emotional state, separate um, the reality from your unconscious mind or the negative messages that you are receiving, because not everyone is trying to hurt you. Not everyone is is out to hurt you or punish you or bully you or ridicule you in any way, shape, or form. Not everyone is also trying to cause more trauma for you. So you are to separate what's in the past from your present. Okay. Separate. Also, this is going to take some, literally some self reflection in regards to how you show up to people, show up for people. Excuse me. It's going to take some self reflection in regards to like how you show up for people and how you treat them based on the messages you received from the past. Okay, if you're going, is one thing to if you're going through a reenactment, that's one thing. But there are people in your life, regardless of what you're going through, that are showing up for you authentically. They are not to be punished for what's going on with you and what you're going through. They are not to be punished for that. So just be aware of how you are showing up, for people. Okay. Oh wow. So yeah. So all right then. So what can you do to honor the inner child? My cat is wanting attention. It's almost time for him to eat. What can the collective do to honor their inner child? What can the collective do to honor their inner child? Oh wow. All right, that card came up. It flipped out. It literally flipped. So what you got is a Ten of Swords here. And what I'm getting is from this is upside down. And so one way you can honor your inner child is to realize, to tell your inner child that it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay for you to let things go. It's okay for you to bring things to an end. I'm getting your inner child. It's time to put things to rest. It's time to put things to rest. That's what I'm getting. Your inner child is wanting to rest. Your inner child is tired of fighting the same battles. So what you are doing to honor your inner child is by growing and telling your inner child that it's okay to end the battle. Whatever that looks like to you, it's okay for you to end the battle. It's okay for you to let go and let God. It's okay for you to let Spirit take your hand. It's okay for you to allow your inner child or take your inner child and out of that situation energetically, so they're not hurting continuously, so that y'all can both be at rest. Okay, I'm getting so you can do things recreationally and not use it as a vice. So, words of encouragement. Where are the words of encouragement? Oh, you got a couple of. We got a couple of them, folks. So, the witness is one of them. I'm getting be a witness for yourself. Show up for yourself. It's time for us to show up for ourselves. It's time for us to step into our power in order for us to show up for ourselves. We are to witness ourselves, to witness our growth. Spirit is there with us, witnessing our growth. It's time for us to witness what we are made of as far as being a child of Spirit. Okay? And to allow ourselves, to allow our higher selves, our higher self, to come through. Okay? You also have the Earth card upside down. So the medicine I have here is to be grounded. Stay grounded. Stay grounded. Be a part of nature. Step outside of yourself and be part of the outdoors. Be a part of nature and be part of the sacred circle. So that is all I have for this week's episode of the Inner Child Collective. If you resonated with this message in any way, shape, or form, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, okay? Leave a review and share it with your friends. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Twitter. If you would like a more personalized inner child reading, you can go to the services section on my website, thebowtiepsychic.com, to book an appointment. Thank you so much